Welcome to this video. My name is Jason Morrell, and in this very short tutorial, I'm going to give you an express tour of the different types of break available in Microsoft Word. You'll find the breaks here on the Layout tab. So what does each one of these mean, and where would you use them? Stay tuned. So let's start with the first one, the page break. This is the simplest in the whole list. So if you go back to a blank document here, just type in this statement here, which provides us with some sample text. And let's say we come to the third paragraph here. You can either press Control Enter, which is the shortcut key for inserting a page break, or if we go to the Layout tab and the Breaks option, we can choose Page Break from here. This takes the text where the cursor was, and it starts it on a brand new page. If we go back to the Home tab, and we turn on this character here, it's called a Pilcrow, looks like a backward P, it shows you all the hidden formatting. So at the end of each paragraph, you'll see the actual character, but if you come up a little bit to where the page break was inserted, you'll see the page break is now clearly shown. Going back to our Layout tab and the Breaks options, I'll come back and do column as the very last thing I'll show you. Text wrapping you wouldn't use very often. It's only ever used if you're using Word to then produce a web page of some sort. It's not used very often. The next break I want to demonstrate is this Next Page option. Now if you go back to the Word document here, I'm going to get rid of what you just typed in. Quite often you have a need to put a landscape page in the middle of your document. So you might have a few regular pages which are laid out in portrait mode, and then every now and again you need to insert this landscape page for a diagram or a table or something of that nature that kind of bucks the trend of the rest of the document. And then after that one page, you want to go back to a regular portrait style setup. So on this page here, I'm going to just type portrait and make it nice big letters. And just center that. If I then go to the View tab, I'm going to turn on this Multiple Pages option, which allows us to show multiple pages side by side, rather than in a vertical list. Let me first of all demonstrate the problem. So if I place my cursor at the end of the word portrait and do a Control Enter, gives us a new page. Now this is the page we want to do landscape. I'm just going to write that in there, and then again do another Control Enter and make the third page portrait. In other words, we're switching from portrait to landscape and then back again. If we then go to page 2, the page we want to be landscape, and actually make it landscape on the Layout tab there, so change the orientation over, it changes the orientation of every single page in the document. And that's where the problem lies. How do you make 2 remain as portrait but 1 switch to landscape? Now this is where section break next page comes in. So I'm going to go to the end of this first page here. Just backspace the page break to remove it. In its place, I'm going to go to the Layout tab and Breaks and put a next page section break in. It's a bit hard to see, but that double line there indicates a section break next page. If I just delete that there, that'll bring this up to the top of the page. If I do the same for this one here, remove it and replace the page break with a next page section break. Again, it's got the double line separator there, which indicates it's a section break. We've now got 3 sections in our document. So on page 1, it says section 1 down here. Page 2, it says section 2 down here. And page 3, it says section 3 down here. It says 1 page per section. Now think of sections like chapters. So normally a section would have like 10, 20 pages, whatever. In this case, it's just a 1-page simple example to demonstrate with. One of the major benefits of using sections is that every section can have its own set of settings. So I'm going to go back to page 1, select it, and change that orientation to portrait. I'm going to do the same for page 3, switch that back to portrait. And page 2 remains as landscape, because every section here has its own settings. So sections 1 and 3 are set to portrait, section 2 set to landscape. And that's how you get around that issue. So let's go back to Layout and the Breaks option. And the bottom 2 here are what's called even page and odd page. Both of those are still section breaks. Now imagine you're writing a document with chapters which contain multiple pages in each chapter. Quite often at the end of the chapter, you just want to finish off on whichever page it finishes off on, but start every new chapter on the odd page. That's the right-hand side of a double-page spread. Here's how you make that happen. So let me remove all the stuff that's here currently, and let's just go back to the standard 1-page view and increase that to 100%, normal size. On a page here, I'm just going to write this rand statement here, but I'm going to put 10,10 in there. That gives us 10 paragraphs with 10 sentences in each. So we've got 3 pages worth of text here. If I come up a little bit, let's just choose a random paragraph here and do a page break at this point. And this can be the beginning of chapter 2. So let's just say chapter 2, enter, and do a page break there as well. And let's just increase the text size here. Make it like a chapter heading, something like that. Now let's press Control Home and do the same thing here. So this would be chapter 1. I'm going to press Control Enter to put that text on the next page. And then where it says chapter 1, again, just to increase that font size with a nice big font. So what you want is every chapter number to be on a fresh page, the next odd page in the document. So whether the previous chapter finished on an even page or an odd page, we want this to be on the next odd page regardless. So chapter 1 doesn't matter because it's on page 1 anyway. But if you come down to page 2, at this point here where we've got the page break separating the end of chapter 1, beginning of section 2, I'm going to remove that and replace it with a section break. So layout and breaks, I'm going to choose odd page here. Let's just delete to bring that up to the top. So chapter 2 actually starts on page 5 now. And if we scroll up, this chapter here finishes on page 3. So there is no page 4 in the document. And when it prints, page 4 will actually be blank, which allows us to start chapter 2 on the next odd page, which in this case is page 5. Now some people start their chapter or section on the next even page, so you do exactly the same thing for that, but you just choose even page instead of odd page. Now the final two types of break I want to show you are the column and the continuous section breaks. Let me just clear all of this stuff here, and we'll start with a brand new bit of text. So let's say we do this rand statement again. Let's maybe do 10 paragraphs of 5 sentences in each paragraph, and that gives us a nice big block of text to work with. It just spills across into the next page, which is nice. If we go to the top and place a title of some sort. To make this title case, you can either press Shift F3, which toggles you through the various case options there, one of which is the title case. And once we're there, we can choose the Home tab and just increase the font size, or we can use one of the styles across here if you prefer, and let's just center that. Now, what I'm going to do is to keep the title where it is, centered on the page. I'm then going to select all of this text right down to the bottom. Still on the Layout tab, there is a columns feature here, which allows you to put this text into 1, 2, 3 columns, or have it left offset or right offset. That's if you have, say, a list of contents on the left and some main content on the right, something like that. In this case, let's just do maybe a 2-column format. So with one click, you converted all of your text into 2 columns, but the title remains at the top across the full width of the page. Now the reason it's done that is because when you choose the columns feature with selected text, it inserts a continuous section break straight after this title at the top. And just like we saw before, every section can have its own settings. So section 1, which is the title, is a full page width, 1 column. But section 2, which is all of this text that's in 2 columns, that's been set up to have 2 columns. Now let's say we come down here a little bit, and let's say that we want to put this bit of text here at the top of the next column. This is where the column break comes in. So I'll position my cursor, I'm going to click the breaks option here, and choose column. And it takes that bit of text and it starts it at the next available column. And if you come down here, you'll see the column break showing. And let's say that you want to put this back to a 1-column format, or maybe a 3-column format, so something that's not 2 columns. You position your cursor again, go back to your breaks option, and you choose continuous section break. Now this inserts the section break there. It continues in a 2-column format, but if you click somewhere in this new section and go back to columns, you can say, look, I want this bit to be 1 column, or I want this bit to be 3 columns. So because there's a section break there, every section can have its own settings. It's a beautiful thing. If you are going to use columns, I suggest you fully justify all of your text. So if we select all of this here, right down to the bottom of the document, the justify option is on the Home tab, and it's the 4th icon here in this alignment group. It justifies both sides. So when you look at your 2-column format or 3-column format, you've got nice straight edges down both sides, and it presents a lot better when you do that. Now just to add 1 or 2 little things about the columns, sometimes you can have what's called a newspaper format, and that's where it puts lines between your columns here. So to get that effect, you just click in the section you want to work with, you go back to your Layout tab and choose Columns here, and go to More Columns at the bottom. This opens up a dialog box where all of your settings are laid out. By default, it makes all of your columns equal width. Okay, there's a little tick box down the bottom that indicates that. If you untick that, it actually opens up both sets of width boxes here. And as you adjust one, the other changes automatically to fill the gap. Okay, so that's how you get your offset kind of effect, where one column is wider than the other. The spacing in between the columns, you can adjust that. You can either increase it or decrease it, do whatever you want there. This option over here, which says line between, that's where you get the newspaper effect. So let's just go with those settings for now, and click OK, and there's all the changes in effect. So it's only meant to be a quick video, but just to give you a run through of the different types of break available in Microsoft Word, and hopefully that's cleared a few things up for you. So if you found this video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up underneath. If you want more content like this as soon as it's published, subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified straight away. So that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.